Hey guys! In this video, I want to share with you my experiences watching Centaur no Nayami, a 12 episode anime that just finished airing. You can watch it on Crunchyroll. It's very easy. It's an anime that's very easy to access. Um, I feel like I was very surprised with this story, and I was very surprised. I was pleasantly surprised with the world, the building of the world that surrounds this story. So I just want to say that first of all, I started watching this anime because I thought that it was just going to be a slice of life story about a centaur girl and her monster friends. But I never really thought about that style choice and why the world and why the characters were like that. I never really thought there was going to be an actual explanation about it in the story, and that it was going to be important for the story and for the relationships that happen in this world. So Centaur no Nayami tells us a story about Himeno, which is a centaur girl. She's a teenager and she's very pretty, she's very beautiful, but she's also very shy. And we're gonna follow a little bit of her life together with her friends at her school. Most of the action of this anime happens at the school, and there are two friends that are very close to her that functions as secondary characters or maybe even main characters, who are Nozomi and Kyoko, I think. And I like those three characters a lot, so early on I really got attached to those sets of characters, and I really wanted to see more of them and wanted to follow their daily routine. But that's a very interesting thing because I don't really like slice of life anime. That's not something that's very interesting to me, and that's not something that I usually watch. Even though I like some, but I don't know, I feel like this is not a style that attracts me. But as I was saying before, I got really surprised with this story because the slice of life aspect sometimes get taken aback because we get to learn a lot about the history of this society. And that's very interesting. We get to know lots of aspects about this society, along with some pretty silly and stupid episodes. And we get to learn more about the characters, we get to learn more about their lives, we get to learn more about their personalities, their fears, what they like and what they don't. And I think that that's the most interesting thing. The anime shifts the tone very fast. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but I think that ultimately it did work and it ended up being a nice experience. So I think that this building, the world building, is one of the most interesting aspects of this anime. We have some pretty interesting biology stuff that's explained because this story is set in a society in which we as humans don't exist anymore. The evolution ended up destroying us, and those humanoid-like characters are the ones that actually exist. So we have people that look like centaurs. So we have other people that have wings, that have tails, ears, like animalistic characteristics. So they're like fusions between humans and animals. So it's very interesting because they are usually there is an explanation for this, and there's even biology in the story explaining this, and that's one of the most interesting points about it. And that's not the only thing. Story, actually history, plays a very big part in this society. So we're gonna see a lot about those main characters, about Hime and her friends, but at the same time, sometimes we're gonna see some characters that brings us that bring those characters they bring us to totally new settings, to totally new and different places and different parts of that society, so that we can learn more about it, so that we can enjoy and we can understand the relationships and we can understand everything that happens. So it's a very interesting thing because right in one of the first episodes, I don't remember if it was in the first or in the second one, one of the teachers was talking about humans, and I think she was talking about the differences because in this society, people, I'm gonna call them people, people are very different from each other. So let me just put it this way: the main character is a centaur. One of her best friends is like a humanoid bat, so she has bat wings, bat ears, and she kind of looks like a vampire. But so the physical aspect of it is very different. So they look very different. And when the teacher is talking about it, she was talking about humans. And she was saying that when humans existed, the differences that we saw in humans that set them apart from one another were very subtle, like the skin tone. And probably if humans existed, that wouldn't be a problem for humans because that's such a very small difference between them, and that it was something that wouldn't put them apart. I thought that was so interesting and such an interesting take on racism and how we as humans still have this problem and we still bring this into our society in so many different levels. And the story analyzes it as such a dumb thing for us to still have because in that society, racism exists, and it appears in the story in some stances, and it's very present. But it can be understood because the people are so different from one another; they're so apart. But us as humans, it wouldn't make sense, and it really doesn't. But in the end, I think that the criticism of our society was very well done in Centaur no Nayami, and it was so interesting the way they put it and the way that they discussed it in such a simple way and in such a simple setting. It was just a school setting, the teacher was just teaching the kids, it was just a simple class, and she was just talking about it. I loved that so much. So there are other nice things about it, and I don't really understand where the author, I don't know who the author is, and I have never read the manga. I'm just talking about the anime, and I'm just sharing my experiences with the anime itself. So it's interesting because there are lots of those social criticisms in the anime, but at the same time, I think that the criticism goes lots of different ways and in so many different stances. I don't really know where the author stands in its social standards. But there were some other nice things that called my attention when I was watching it. One of them is that there is a couple in the class, and this couple is comprised. Is that right? Is the word correct? It's comprised of two girls. So there is a lesbian couple in this story, and they live like they date each other in the classroom. When I saw it for the first time, I thought, okay, probably one of them is a boy, and it's just maybe a feminine boy, but they wouldn't go there. But they did, and the interesting thing is, the society, at least in the classroom, at least where they live, they don't care about it. Everyone is totally normal over that. So there is no homophobia, at least from the perspective that we saw in the story. There is absolutely no homophobia, and this couple is completely normal. This couple, they're obviously normal, but they're seen as normal by the other people, and that's the most interesting thing. And it sets us so apart from that society as well. Because if we were going to talk about our society, there were obviously going to be people in that classroom that would question that relationship. And right at the first episode, I think that this anime is divided into two episodes in one episode. The first half is a short story, and the second half is another short story. And right at the first episode, there was a lesbian kiss, but it was kind of like an accident, and it was totally fan service. But again, as a part of the LGBT community, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting to see that right at the first episode, and after that, seeing a relationship that is brought and that is written as normal. I loved that, and I really think that's amazing. So again, when as I was saying, the episodes are always divided into two parts. So we have lots of different stories being told, some of them slice of life, some of them world building, and it's very interesting that the anime shifts its tone so fast, and sometimes it does by bringing us a set of new characters that we don't know where they're from, but we learn about it and as the story goes on, and sometimes that story ties into Himeno's daily routine or it doesn't. But ultimately, it's very important for us to understand Centaur no Nayami's world. After some episodes, there is a very interesting character that is added into the story, which is Suu-chan. Suu-chan is what they call an antarctician. She is a snake, like a humanoid snake. And those types of people, they don't appear in the society. They live in Antarctica, and so they live apart from the society, and they don't mix with the other races. I don't know if they're races in the anime. I don't remember the word, but they don't mix with the races. So when she appears, it's a shock to almost everyone. But everyone tries to act with respect and tries to respect her and to integrate her into the society, and that's very interesting because the three girls that are main characters, they bring her together into that group, and she starts being the fourth member, so she's always with them. And it's very interesting because there is a lot of depth of where she comes from and how different things are from where she comes and the society that we see in the anime. And it's strange for us, but it's especially strange for the other characters that have to deal with her. And it's interesting because they talk a lot with her. They want to learn more about her. They want to learn more about her society. And when she is answering those questions, when she's talking about those things, she's obviously building the world and explaining to us the Antarcticians and their costumes, their cultures. That's also very interesting. And there's another thing. The Antarcticians are seen as very strange people. And there is a phrase that Suu-chan says, and it's not her name, it's her nickname, but I have no ability to say her name, so I'm gonna call her Suu-chan. That's very interesting. She says, that's actually what I want to do. I'm here to break stereotypes about my people so that other people can see me and my kind as normal. And that's such an interesting thing because it's a parallel and it might be a stretch, but okay, let me just talk about my experience here. Sometimes I meet with people that are, I'm just gonna use this word because there's no other word for it. But they're kind of homophobic, so they don't have a good relationship with gay people. But sometimes, after dealing a while with me or with other gays that are outed and that are out of the closet and they're, unapologetic about being gay or lesbian or trans, whatever, they start seeing our side and they start understanding more about us. So I've received lots of things, lots of praise about it because, especially at work, because people say, "Oh, well, I never met a gay person before, and it's very nice to meet you, and it's very nice to see." And then people start seeing us as more normal, and that's why I kind of understood Suu-chan's words at that specific time and in that episode, and I really, really liked it. And well, what's more to say about it? Again, the world building is so interesting, and there are some parallels to what happened in our story. There was a very dark episode. I don't remember when, like around episode 9, 10, something like that, that brought us the Holocaust in the Centaur no Nayami's universe, and that was very dark. And you know, there's always this talk about respecting people that are different and, you know, bringing and integrating. And one of the characters that suffered in this Holocaust but was saved later on is someone who is very respectful of different people, and he is someone who has like, I don't know the word, but he demands respect for different people. So he was meeting someone, he's a very important person, and he was meeting someone who is like a frog, who is a hybrid between a human and a frog. And those people, at least in this society, they're not seen as hygienic, and they're seen more as barbaric and not very socially evolved as the other races. And the people surrounding him were like, okay, you have to wear gloves because you're gonna have to, you know, shake hands with him, so please wear gloves. And he said, no, we are all alike and I don't have to do that. And I don't know, I feel like this is so interesting, and it brings a message. It really brings a message, I think. But at the same time, we have lots of silly episodes, we have lots of ecchi moments, and they're very strange. We have those teenagers blooming about sex, about their bodies, and about relationships, and about discovering more about them, their insecurities, their hopes, their dreams. And we have lots of kids as well. We have kids appearing a lot, so we kind of learn how kids live in the society and how the world is built for them and how they build the world and how they see the world. There are some interesting parts in this story with the kids with Suu-chan, because Suu-chan is very different, so they see her as a monster at the first time, at first glance, and they learn more about her and they meet her. And I don't know, I just feel like this is such an interesting anime. So there are some episodes in which the ecchi style is kind of overboard, especially the last episode, the first half of the last episode. Oh my god, what was that? That was a disaster. But overall, the experience was amazing. I really liked Centaur no Nayami, and I really got drawn in by the story. I've read on the internet that the manga brings in even more depth and even more and the manga is a little crazier, it seems, and it brings even more depth about the story and about history. And that's a very interesting thing, but I have never had the opportunity to read this manga. Maybe in the future I will search for it because it's a very interesting story and I really liked that. So if you haven't watched Centaur no Nayami, go watch it. It's a great experience. Sorry for the long ass video. Oh my god, 18 minutes. That's just too much. Sorry, I know I'm not concise. I know I talk a lot, and I know I can't be concise about anything. Sorry. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment. Let's discuss about this anime. Let's talk about our own experiences about Centaur no Nayami. So if you watched it until the end, thank you so much for it. And I'm sorry for being too long and for talking a lot. Guys, until next time, bye bye.